because for those who may not be aware of the Donalds, this person that is in charge of this is a new position because, the government just likes to create shit out of thin air. The U.S. anti-Semitism czar, Rabbi Yehuda Kaplan. This is what he had to say about free speech. It's not good.
And the secretary have made it a priority that they are going to not tolerate anti-Semitism anywhere and by anybody.
The amount of hate speech that we've seen during this time, I mean, it's off the charts. You look through social media, you see it even on television. The lines, they're not even blurred anymore. They're gone. How do you even begin to tackle such a phenomenon?
Well, I mean, he's going to kvetch really hard. He might even drop his bagel. I don't know. The poor fella, he might return his soup at the deli, Really terrible. Really unfortunate, because words are dangerous, right? Very dangerous.
You have to have an understanding that, first of all, in this country, we believe very strongly in free speech. It's the basis in our Constitution.
We do?
And we also believe in the freedom of religion. You have to balance that. But you balance that in two ways. Europe has hate speech laws, probably some of the best on the books, but it's selectively enforced. So if you selectively enforce a rule, it's not going to have any effect whatsoever. And you can see how it's had no effect in Europe in monitoring and stopping the hate. So it's not necessarily the laws to mandate hate speech. We have to get back to having the media being accurate. Because if you take a look, when the New York Times had a story, and they had a picture of a malnourished child saying the famine in Gaza, and it was a medically sick child with a lot of history, and they had used other pictures from Yemen. 50 million people saw that article, but yet only 100,000 people saw their apology. That breeds hate. By not having that breeds hate. So
what you have here is a liar, deliberate, and somebody who fully supports genocide because he fully supports the Zionist state and the Greater Israel Project. And this is a person who has been given a government position of influence to spread this bullshit. That's what ends up happening here. Again, kvetching. That's what they're doing. The problem is that they do have a lot of money and they have a lot of influence for now. And there's going to be a point to this in a minute.
we have to do a better job in enforcing and educating people to actually do their own research.
What would that entail? Would that entail clamping down on people that choose to speak out against this tyranny that's happening right now? For example, what just happened in New York the other day? You know, we saw that Mayor Mamdani and AOC had commentary regarding the protesters from Al Jawad, who is part of a Free Palestine movement. And their commentary was very specific pertaining to what was going on at the, I think it's called the Children of Israel Synagogue in Q Hill Gardens in Queens. Now, if you're not familiar with this, but I think this is a pretty big deal, you saw what Mayor Mamdani and what AOC had to say, that they condemn the anti-Semitism, that was bad, that people were chanting, "We support Hamas." Do you know what they were protesting? That part they didn't mention. Mamdani, to his credit, actually made a statement about it. Colin, please grab me AOC's tweet. I want to put it up. They were protesting the fact that this synagogue was doing land sales in the West Bank. You know, the thing that we've been exposing in various parts of this country, whether in New Jersey or Los Angeles in particular, over the past 2 years? Well, guess what? They were doing that the other day at this synagogue in Queens. That's why they were protesting. And they had a whole bunch of different chants, whole bunch. But the one that they centered on was the fact that they say we support Hamas. Okay. Now, I would be the first to tell them that that's actually pretty dumb, that you shouldn't say that even if you believe it and even if one person's terrorist is another person's freedom fighter, because that's what they're looking for. They're looking for something to target. They're looking for something to say, you see? That's why you get czars like this fuckhead over here. That's why they get hired. Because they want you to be distracted. But don't be distracted. I didn't see one person bring up what was really going down. Not one. What was really going down? What we've been saying has been going on forever. They're mass murdering these people and they're stealing their land. And then they're selling it to rich, affluent Jews only in this synagogue. And in AOC's infinite wisdom, because I'm going to just let Mamdani off the hook for this reason, two reasons. Number one, he just stepped into this position. He said that he doesn't agree with the statement about Hamas, called them a terrorist organization. All right, whatever. But he was asked, do you have any opinion regarding what the synagogue was actually doing? And he said, I completely condemn any type of land grabs and land sales, which is a violation of international law. Now, again, I don't know what type of authority he has at this moment to deal with it. But remember, one thing that Mamdani campaigned on that he said he was going to do, he said he was going to cancel Israel contracts in New York City. Okay, I'll believe it when I see it. But AOC decided to chime in with this great piece of stupidity on her part. Hey, so marching into a predominantly Jewish neighborhood and leading with a chant saying we support Hamas is a disgusting and anti-Semitic thing to do. Pretty basic. Protesters in Queens chant, say it loud, say it clear, we support Hamas here. Okay, so once again, why would you make this statement like an egregious failure of a politician that you are, without mentioning why they're there and why they said that? No mention of that. Let's just focus on the words of protecting the Zio scum in New York City. I haven't seen Alex say a fucking word about this, about what they're doing. Mamdani at least said something. She's not saying anything. So when we say AOC Pelosi, AOC fraud, and she decides to stick her place into these, she sticks her neck out where it doesn't belong. That's what she does. And I do not believe that this is her district. But nevertheless, how can you not know, A, that this is why they were chanting this, and B, if you didn't know, you do not belong in that position. And if you did know, you're even more pathetic than I thought possible. You don't have the political wherewithal to think maybe a statement to the effect of, while I do not agree with the chant of we support Hamas, it is reprehensible that people in Queens are selling Palestinian people's land that they were likely murdered on. No, you can't say that. No, that didn't even come to mind. And this fucking idiot's running for president in 2028. You should see some of the commentary that was below her statement, including one of my favorites, ZEI Squirrel, who's one of the best handles on all of social media. This is why you know that she's a fraud. And anyone else who wants to play along with this bullshit because she cosplays very well as an influencer. Again, she's a great influencer. I'm not going to take that away from her. She's got a hell of a following. But as a legislator, as a leader, she's a joke. And this proves it. How is it that I know what to say in this if I wanted to even act like a politician? If I just wanted to act like, listen, I'm totally going to be a politician right now. I'm going to be like Bill Clinton. I'm going to be like the son of a bomb. I'm going to totally be like the president of the United States. No, I'll be like Arnold from the government, a ship in California. How come I know how to do this? How come this is so fucking simple in my mind? And she doesn't know this? She can't say this? How is that possible? Unless she's got big plans. She's got big fucking plans. Only a dimwit could miss this. It only took all of 2 seconds for me to look into it and say, well, why were they there? Why were they in front of that synagogue? Hey, did you know that we mentioned a synagogue that said that, yeah, you know, Americans are probably going to have to die for Israel? Well, that's coming next, because that's what's coming with fucking Iran. And you know what they did? They called the cops on us. And the only reason we found out that that was the case was because I made nice with the popo that came to my house. And they were not nice. They were actually pretty intimidating and threatening when they first got here, but I cooled them off, made chat, made nice, and then eventually they were like, you know what? Yeah, we'll tell you who did it. This is why we have to deal with this. And if you think that our politicians are going to help us, that they're going to lead the effort away from this shit, never. This is proof. This was a fucking layup, and she bricked it. How do you brick a layup like this in your own fucking backyard? This is in Queens, and you fuck it up? Wow. I mean, I knew her instincts weren't that good, but man, that's bad. That is like really bad. But okay. You're never going to be president, Alex, so you might as well give it up. You might make a lot of money and write a book that'll be a bestseller. Congratulations. But as Jen said, you were the Mockingjay. Could have been. And you chose to capitulate to the empire.